Hello and welcome to another episode of AgapeDads. I'm Julian Cortez. Today we have the great pleasure of hearing the experience of Donald West, a father of 3 daughters. Welcome to AgapeDads.
Hey, thanks for having me, Julian.
Yeah, no problem. D, if you could start us off by telling us what your childhood was like growing up.
My childhood was great. I have one natural sister. We're separated by 3 years. It was just her and I with my parents. And, my dad's mom, which is who we grew up with around the most, she had 12 children. And all of her children, on average, had about 3 children. So there was a lot of us. We grew up like the, real life little rascals. Had a lot of fun though growing up. Had a great childhood, had great parents, and I love my sibling.
Has that impacted you as a father today, that type of childhood?
Oh, totally. Because I have such good memories of being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do that with my daughters and make sure that they do have that, keep them engaged with their cousins, keep them engaged even with classmates, and definitely do stuff with them myself so that hopefully they'll be able to say the same thing I do when they get my age.
Right. What was life like? Take us on a journey when you first became a dad for each of them.
Oh, man. Total roller coaster. Each of them were their own experience completely, which was great. Kayla, who is now 11 years old, she's my oldest. That was exciting because it was our first,
Mm-hmm.
Audra and I were married about 1.5 years in. When we found out we were pregnant, well, she was pregnant. I just looked like I was pregnant. She was pregnant. And when we had Michaela, a funny story is when Audra was delivering, I was there with her.
Mm-hmm.
Running back and forth from the bottom of the table to the top and telling her, push, 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 you got it. And when Michaela decides to finally come out, she comes out in a spin and a pose like this. And she looked at me and I just looked, I froze and I said, wow, I'm in for it. I knew from that moment, I was like, this is going to be the ride of my life. And then she decided to cry. So it was fun. With Megan, it was a little more relaxed because we somewhat knew what to expect, so Audra was more into the shopping and getting ready for just having space for a new baby. We ate a lot. We had a lot of fun, and that's why Megan came out so fun-loving and big-hearted and willing to do anything. And then with Mackenzie, who is now 3, and Megan is 8, by the way, and Mackenzie is now 3, Audra felt like she was a pro at that point. So, there was no stopping her. She was all over the place, still working to the 11th hour, and that's why, again, Mackenzie picked all of that up. She's the go hard. She's the one that you just don't know what's going to happen.
Right. How would you describe yourself as a dad?
I am definitely the good cop. on most days. They know they can get over on daddy. I have totally taken the daddy girl thing to the nth degree, but I love it. I'm still fair, still a disciplinarian when I have to be, but I love it. I have them rotten, they're spoiled, and I wouldn't change it.
Absolutely. Well, what are your thoughts on actually men being viewed as the disciplinarians and mothers as the nurturers? Do you agree with that?
I think it depends on the personalities for sure. It depends on what the couple is like. There are some people, even myself, I'm a little more laid back for the most part, but there are times when you do have to be a little more assertive. They need to know that male presence doesn't mean yelling and screaming and, unnecessarily hitting and stuff. But if they know that I'm there and they know that I'm the presence in the home, it makes a difference. As far as mothers just being nurturing, that's not always the case either. Some of the mothers are more outspoken than the father is. Some of the mothers, sometimes it's the role reverse. Sometimes the mom is out working. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make her any less or more. It doesn't make the father any less or more. So it just depends on how the couple is able to really make it work. And as long as the family dynamic is in place, it's great.
What challenges having 3 daughters have you faced, and what were some practical ways that you went about to handle them?
The biggest thing that we've had challenge-wise is with Michaela, it's, she was born with allergies. So that was the rough part. It was a rough part mentally, emotionally, only because I felt bad because I was the only one with allergies.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like, I gave that to her, so it was rough dealing with that. But she also introduced us to a lot of different things, how to prepare food differently, a lot of things that would help out so she can still enjoy life, enjoy being a kid. We can still sneak and enjoy the things we like when she's asleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Overall, I don't really have any complaints, which is great. We don't have any, real major trials with our children, at least not at this age so far, thank God.
It seems like the relationship between you and your daughters are pretty tight knit. What advice might you give a father who might have young girls and fear that they won't have that type of connection as the daughters grow up?
Biggest thing is honestly is first, of course, just being there,
Mm-hmm.
um, learning how to listen. Sometimes it's difficult if a man, like I wasn't a guy who had to have a son.
Mm-hmm.
I just really wasn't. It didn't matter that much to me, and that's no disrespect to my dad. My dad is my
Right.
hero. But I was like, if it stops at me, then that's it. I didn't really, I wasn't worried about that. I think, especially having daughters, they're gonna need to know what it's like to really be loved, what to look for with love. They're gonna know what protection is. I think you have to really get into understanding their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps. It helps with female, it helps with life in general because it's a different part of you now where the switch gets turned on and you
Right.
have to really dive into that and
Right.
just accept it. Just ride the ride.
Are there any rewards that come with fatherhood?
Everything. I love it. I like seeing the interest that they have and
Yeah.
helping cultivate it, help them chase after it. I like seeing things that I did or that I was interested in and that
Right.
they pick up on it. Like I love technology. I love
Mm-hmm.
sneakers, love hats, love animation. When you're an adult, you can't say cartoons no more. So, you know, I love animation. And I see that in Michaela. I see it in Megan. I see it in Mackenzie. Mackenzie sits and creates her own stories as a baby. And I just love
Right.
sitting and watching her, and seeing Michaela navigate technology. She was 1 year old operating my iPhone, and it blew
Mm-hmm.
my mind,
Mm-hmm.
because she was doing stuff correctly.
Right.
I was like, how is this possible? But I love seeing everything that they're interested in and even the questions that they ask about. That's the most rewarding part.
Now, I have the pleasure of knowing your wife for a really long time. Her and I work together, and you and her have known each other since really small childhood.
Yeah.
Has there been a topic or something that you guys bumped heads that you had to come to compromise just by the way you were raised and the way that she was raised?
Absolutely not, Julian.
Blink if you're okay.
No, we agree on everything. No, but honestly, my
Yeah.
wife has been big on making sure we are on the same page.
Yeah.
She's always like, communicate, communicate. You got to say this, you got to say that. A lot of things for me were adjusting because some stuff it was almost just like cruise control, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, because of the way I grew up. So what I would expect. And if it didn't happen, it was just, even if I was upset, I wouldn't say much. But then I had to realize her childhood was different.
Right.
Unfortunately, she didn't have both parents in her home for a good amount of her life. So just some things automatically are going to be different. The
Mm-hmm.
way you approach things, the way you look at things or think about
Right.
stuff. So, but for the most part, we'll talk about it. And if we don't agree, then she wins and we move on.
Right.
you
I
know.
agree. What do you look forward to as a dad, especially a father of three daughters? What do you look forward to?
Oh man, it's exciting seeing them grow in every aspect of their life. The creativity part, the education. I just look forward to seeing them completely well-rounded and
Yeah.
seeing what's going to happen out of everything that they're interested in. Even the values that we teach, they ask it from time to time, why do we go to church?
Right.
Why do we go to church on Sunday? What's happening with Tuesday? They ask so many questions,
Mhm.
and I love it. Did you ever play an instrument? Do you ever do this? And so that kind of stuff is great. Lets me know that they're thinking, lets me know that they're growing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they have interests. And it goes back to the earlier question that you asked. You know, I sit and just let them ask all of the questions just so I can see, you know, even with me, okay, what can I do better, or how can I even help them along in whatever area they're asking about?
Right.
So for me, it's just going to be great to see everything happen. You know, last night, actually, they got dressed up for prom. I was like, I'm not ready for this.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
was like, I wasn't ready. And I was like, okay, now you know you got to get ready for that because that's very real. Even though things are different right now, it's very real. It's coming, you know. I got to deal with boys. I had to remember I was a boy once, you know, so I can't hate all boys, you know. It's rough.
Yeah. Now, having daughters, I know is sometimes different, like you said, than having sons. But when it comes to bullying, right, in schools and in playgrounds, what are your thoughts on that? And has your daughters ever experienced that yet? And if they do, how would you go about to deal with that?
Oh, that's a tough question, only because I was taught a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I was unfortunately bullied mercilessly, you know, when I was a child. Yeah, I went through it for a while. And even sometimes as an adult, people, you know, sometimes it's simple. You take meekness for weakness. You know, for the most part, I'm a laid back dude, and I try to keep it that way, you know. So with bullying, it was rough hearing them ever come home and complain about that. You know, nothing has been too severe, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
They've always been in a good situation where we would just approach their teacher or the principal, whatever it was, and get it settled. But I tell them to do it the most, whatever it is in them, to keep it peaceful, you know.
Right.
See if you can. I'm not telling you, you know, to be a punk. Don't let anybody push you around. Absolutely not. But if you can do whatever you can to keep yourself in control and manage the situation, it's going to work out better that way. You know, it's rough. It can get rough nowadays. It's so much senseless stuff, you know, from adults to children. It's scary.
Right.
But, you know, I just still believe it's corny, but if you do the right thing will happen to you, you know?
Right.
So that's what I keep trying to put into them. And it's got to be keeping your head. If you keep your head and keep your composure, you're better off than just retaliating and going after somebody. That never works out good.
Right. I agree with that. Has diversity been a topic that you had to discuss with your daughters yet?
No, not totally, because we've always been in African American schools.
Okay.
But things like TV shows that they watch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some questions come up, why do they do that? Or, you know, why do they look like that? The biggest diversity, actually, forgive me, would be with Megan, because she's the lighter of everyone. So she always wondered why. You know, we had to let her know there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. We had to even point out in the family tree on both sides, there are plenty of people that are light skinned,
Right.
people that are lighter within their immediate family. There's nothing wrong with you whatsoever. It's just the way God made you. If anything, you're special. You know,
Yeah.
you're special. So we just let them know, yeah, we love everybody, love all people. You know, doesn't matter what color, race, none of that matters. A human being is
Yeah.
important.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, what might be some memorable moments that you look back on that make you smile or laugh?
Oh man, it's too many. But even just honestly, recently, I love, like I said, looking through the eyes of a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they just wanted more than anything to go outside and play freeze tag.
Yeah.
I was completely sore by the next day, but it was the time of our life, you know? You know, just
Yeah.
running around the block, running around the car, running in the backyard, having them have a backyard playing. You know, these were things that I didn't have as a child. So seeing them already at the advantage at this age, which is beyond where I was, that's great. You know, that adds to the great memories. And
Right.
just seeing them enjoy their childhood, it's great for me. That's the best memory.
Yeah. Wow, man. I really enjoyed your listening to your experience, and I thank you so much for joining us on Agape Dads.
Man, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. And thank you for watching another episode of Agape Dads. For more information or for previous episodes, you could go over to the website at agapedads.com. You could go to the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to that. If you're on the go, download the podcast. Thank you, and thanks for watching.